Kal Halal, Yahawah Bahashem Yahawashi, Bahashem Rakachadash. All praise, honor, and glory go to the Most High Yahawah. In the name of His Son Yahawashi, as we come to the closer and closer to the end of all these, uh, events and troubles and just life itself that we were given because we went off so many times against our power, and how He always, since He set it up since the beginning of time, to have us go through all these different emotions, feelings, and actual physical encounters with, 2/3 of our people, the heathen and the wicked, the nation of Edom, so called white man, dealing with our own inner battles. We get a little bit, exhausted in the flesh. Now there's times that we feel exhausted. We don't allow ourselves to stay in it too long because we understand. When I say we, I pray for that number of the men of the Lord that He has chosen since the beginning of time, His hopeful elect, to try to grasp everything that the Most High Yahawah and His Son Yahawashi is doing. Yeah, we groan and we are exhausted and having to deal with the same type of life that we're living right now over and over again while we're in this flesh, and we long for the return of our Savior, Yahawashi Mashiach, who's going to put everything to bed, and He's going to wipe away all the tears and all the frustrations that we have. And that's why I love the book of Psalms, because the book of Psalms just really just lays out the frustrations that people have that are looking for a better life. When I mean people, I mean the Israelites, so-called African American, Native American, Latinos, and you speak about the Israelites who are hoping that they are the hopeful elect, praying for mercy, praying to be delivered. And then in Psalm 6, I want to start from verse 6 and go all the way down to 10. It kind of gives you an understanding of how, those that are looking to be delivered feel. It says, I am exhausted as I groan all night long. I drench my bed in tears. My tears saturate the cushion beneath me. It says, my eyes grow dim from suffering. They grow weak because of all my enemies. So anybody that's against these scriptures, anybody that's against the Lord is our enemy. Anybody that's against what the prophecies are saying and, what's been revealed to the men of the Lord, our apostles and elders who have did a real good job in the spirit of bringing out all the things that are going to happen, allowing the spirit to work through them to break down the end times connected with the times of the past. It says, turn back from me, all you who behave wickedly, for Yahawah has heard the sound of my weeping. Yahawah has heard my appeal for mercy. Yahawah has accepted my prayer. May all my enemies be humiliated and absolutely terrified. May they turn back and be suddenly humiliated. And at the end of the day, that's what, the left side of our people, the heathen and the wicked are doing. They're trying to do their best to try to humiliate this, wisdom, knowledge, and understanding that we have, this truth. Those that accept it, those who live by it, those who are not being moved by it. And they try to do whatever they can to try to get us to go off. And I say we, I pray of that number. Yeah, we know the Lord has heard us, and we continue to hope in the salvation that's to come. And until it comes, these are the things we're going to have to face. We're going to have to face these enemies that's against the gospel in all aspects of life. Those that's close to you, even those that you may lay down next to, mother, father, children, friends. And it's just getting started, because this is just the beginning of what Jacob has to go through. When I mean Jacob, the people of Yasharala, Israel, but more so those of his hopeful elect that have been touched and blessed with this wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, and really know, that things ain't going back to normal. Things ain't going to get better. So we groan in the spirit, and we hope for our Savior to come in and to accept us, for who we are, and show mercy on us in that time. But until then, we put up the curses against those that are against this wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, this gospel, and those that have made themselves an enemy towards the Most High Yahawah. Because if, like I said in the beginning, if they're His enemy, they're our enemy. And if you go to Psalms 5:5, it says, "The boastful shall not stand before your eyes. You hate all evildoers." So everyone who's a consistent evildoer, who doesn't want what the Lord has to preach. And this is a time where, through his men, preach through his men. And this is a time where, you're going to find many of non-believers and many of those that hate against this message because, it's a so-called holiday time, and everyone just wants to, eat some turkey and Thanksgiving and dressing. They want to put up their Christmas lights. They want to do whatever they can to not focus in on what's really happening in the world. And what's happening in the world is the wicked, the so-called white man, is doing his best to institute this technocracy and bring in that micro hip, the mark of the beast. I want to get a couple more. Slovakia. Couple more precepts on just Psalms 94:4 says, "They pour out their arrogant words, all the evildoers boast." They boast in these holidays, they boast in what they have going on, their money, and all this is just really just going to be their downfall. We see our own people joining up with the small hats, Floyd Mayweather's, the Yeezys, and they have so much to say and against the system until they come after them, and then they turn on their sides and make themselves an enemy towards this gospel. Not that they were going to get it anyway, because most of these celebrities are clicked in anyway. But it just lets you know that there's many enemies out there that the Lord is keeping us away from. Psalms 3:4 says, "I cried aloud to Yahawah, and He answered me from His holy hill." And that's what we're looking for. He's looking to be delivered. It's all about deliverance now. It's all about those who really want to accept this truth. It's all about His hopeful elect, man. Everyone else, I don't choose to want to be around. You can get lonely sometimes, especially if you're a man who doesn't have a woman. I, my situation, it changed, in the last couple months, and it could feel a certain kind of way sometimes. But as you get older, you start to appreciate your alone time, so that you can reflect on your relationship with the Most High Yahawah and His Son Yahawashi, and you can just really get your mind together for the things that are to come. Because it's going to be harder to deal with things if you have somebody else that that you have to think about that may not be as fully dedicated to this truth that you are. you know and then you have those that do have those woman that is submissive, and I'm talking about the man, of course, or they do have a partner that is doing what the Lord wants them to do. Speaking for the women as well. And but still you're being pulled because you still got to worry about their well-being. you know so at the end of the day, the Lord hears your prayers. He's heard mine when it came to just you know what I wanted to be a part of, uh, which is the real honest truth, and who I wanted to spend my time with. And I just want to spend my time with those that are truly dedicated towards looking to please the Lord, and you know keeping myself away from all the enemies and for all those that are out there trying to be against the Lord. I get a couple more. So Lamentations 2:11, it says, "My eyes are spent with weeping, my stomach churns, my bowel is poured out to the ground because of the destruction of the daughter of my people, because infants and babies faint in the streets of the city." And at the end of the day, it's our people. It hurts to really see our people that way, but we got to stand firm. We got to stand firm. They want to chase after what's evil. Let them go right ahead while you chase after this truth and continue to stay focused. So continue to pray for mercy and deliverance. Continue just to fight the good fight. With that, just want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahawah, by Hashem Yahawashi, by Hashem Rakakadash, double honors to all the apostles, elders, teachers, preachers, priests, bishops that came before me, taught me this truth through the video, starting with the apostles and elders, the great millstone. And Shalawam, peace be to you, to the holy elect, which I pray in the number of to next time, Yahweh willing.